Okay, so I'm started recording and I have logged into my machine. Let's go to our environment. Okay, seems okay, so that's the wrong port. Yes. So like you see, Mohan, so what I have done is these environments which I'm accessing on everyday basis, right? So whenever this session is finished, I close it and then I save the state so that every day I don't need to start these servers and it will already be available. So you can do the same so that you don't need to start everything on everyday basis. Okay, so I created a cluster yesterday in multicast mode, and let's see, I have assigned it an address. So this is the address being assigned. So multicast address, this was the address assigned to this multicast IP, and this is the port. Okay, now what I'll do is I will start my managed servers and I will see that it should start listening on these clusters. Okay, I think I have not added the machine. Yeah, it is added. So these two machines are now part of this cluster and they are in multicast mode, communication mode. So I should be starting this machine and at the same time I will be tracking the status. Let me connect to another window. Let's log into /user01. Okay, so date today is April 1. Oh, sorry, May 1 it shows. Let me, so it should be putting it. So I'm going to start this now. Shutting down both of them. Okay, it is already in shutdown status. Okay, so fine. So I would be able to see it. So let's see, when I start it, it should be generating a log here. So I'm starting my machine and let's go and check for the logs. So this is a new log which is being created. The older one is rotated. So we'll
Yesterday I
have,
missed some part, so is that a big portion or just a small portion?
oh, which one?
Yesterday I was suddenly, my laptop was shut
No, so
down.
we are actually covering that today. So we just created a cluster,
Okay,
okay, and in multicast mode. So after that we stopped it and we are going further ahead. So only thing is what
okay, sure.
just before
You will
session,
select that multicast.
yeah, multicast. So I showed you the IP and port being assigned to multicast cluster,
Okay,
and now we are seeing how it will be visible in log. So how this cluster will work. So we are proceeding with where
okay,
you left. Maybe you would have
sure, sure.
missed something on the theoretical part,
Yeah,
but we are still there. So you have not missed
sure,
much.
sure, sure. Thank you.
Okay, so it is about to start now in some time. Okay, so almost there. And I think if you have done an installation for generic one and FMW1, you would have found the difference between the startup time. So as I told earlier, because this FMW1, it comes with many extensions, many extra libraries. So it has to load all those files and then only it can start up the server. But in case of generic, because it doesn't have those library files and those extra applications, the startup will be faster. So that one difference you can see when you do that. Okay, transitioning state. So still going ahead with few of the deployments. Some exceptions in terms of ADF. Okay, so you see this. So there was an error sent for your multicast addressing. Let me show you. Yeah. So this, if you can see this, on a cluster, an error occurred while sending multicast messages. So that means most probably it is not able to listen on that particular cluster address. Maybe that IP and port combination is not available, and that we can see. So you see this cluster, an error occurred while sending multicast address. So IO error, because that socket cannot be opened on that port. And again here you see this. So on this multicast address is what we specified, this socket is being closed. The reason being it may be, depending upon my firewall, it is not listening. So I'll do one thing. Okay, I'll have to change this. So multicast socket receive error. So let's go ahead and check for that IP and port. It should not be listening. So if I go to environments, I'll go to clusters, check for messaging mode, which is being set to multicast, and this is the IP. Okay, I'll have to click lock and edit. And let's check for this. Okay, although it says it's listening, so that, but it is listening on IPv6 address. Okay, let's see what is that. Okay, so let me do one more thing. Let me just make one entry for this particular address. And I will say I'll just say cluster 1. So I'm making an entry into this. My server should be up and running because I've got that message. Let's see. So it says, okay, both went into admin mode. So So I think someone was asking the other day, right? Sometimes servers will go into admin mode. So see, this is one of the issues. Because of problems in the cluster, your server cannot come into a running status. So I'm shutting this down. And let it get shut down, then we'll try to start it again. Okay, so it is shut down. Let me start just one of these first so that I'll track the logs. Okay, so server started. This is the log I should be tracking. Okay, it's gonna take a couple of minutes to do this. So whenever we do a multicast, it is important that we have to give IP and port. But when we do a unicast, it is not mandatory, and we can just go with unicast messaging mode and then start the service. So that system automatically assigns the IP, and that we'll see it when we'll change it to unicast. At the moment, let's just see this particular cluster address if it returns error again. Okay, I think it's again sending an exception. This is what I see. Okay, that is different error. Okay, so it's not actually able to open that particular port on my machine. Let's see what it has done here. Maybe it is gone to admin state again. Yeah, it is in admin status. Let's check for the logs. Let me try changing the port name. Nothing's running. starting with this address. So sort of to start my admin, shutting it down, and let's start it. So I'm starting my admin for changes to take place. And this should be fast because admin doesn't take a long time. Am I recording this meeting? Yes, okay. Meanwhile, let me start the other machine as well. Let's see, it should not be available now, but let's check it. Okay, so still not started. Just waiting for logging to finish. Meanwhile, I am just checking for another server which I have created. Let me connect to the network. Okay, network's available. Oh, that's bad. It is coming up with the same address. Okay, I will have to assign a different address to this one. Okay, so my admin has started running. Yeah, admin has been loaded up. Let's log into admin. Try again. come up, logic 1. Okay, so it has come up. Let's go and start one of the servers again. Okay, so I'm starting my server again, and this is a different window. So it's going to take some time. Meanwhile, let me check for my other system. Okay, it is still coming up with the same IP. Okay, so this multicast address, actually it is not working on my system, although it should work. But normally if you assign a multicast address, if there are no firewalls sets or anything, I think it should not be set for my system also, but I'm still seeing it. Okay, so my server should be in admin status again, and reason is that multicast addressing itself, this socket is getting closed. Let me do one thing, let's change it to Unicast and try. So I'll shut this down. But any systems, if you do a multicast, it should certainly pick up, as there won't be any firewall setup or anything, so it should be taking it. If I'll change it to Unicast here, so from multicast I'm changing it to Unicast now. I'll go to messaging mode, and this addressing I'll change it to Unicast, save it. So at the moment I'm not assigning it any channel, we'll see that. So I'm just doing activate changes as of now. Changes done, and let me try starting the server. Okay, let's go and check server logs. Okay, so in the meantime it's starting. I will show you how do you create a logs, sorry, network channels. So once it starts, we'll show you. So for example, you can see here in your clustering, when we change it to Unicast, you have an option of, in messaging mode, when you specify Unicast, you have an option of Unicast broadcast channel. Although it is not required, you can go without it, but in case you want to hide your managed server IP, then you can also create a network channel so that it will be visible on network channel. For that, one second, I think it's just nearing. Let's see if it is coming through. Okay, let me see if server has started. Okay, so it is in running status. Let's go and check for our logs, because it went so fast that we were not able to see it. So I'll go into the log and I'll check for cluster. Okay, so if you can see here, this first notice which says cluster listening for announcements from cluster using Unicast cluster messaging. So cluster is trying to listen on that, and then what it does is cluster is starting async replication service with remote cluster. So that is not being set, so there is no remote setup we have done, so there is nothing. And this is now here. So it says cluster, the singleton service FMWMS1 is now registered on the server. This server, let me just put it there. Okay, so this server may be chosen to host this service. So right now only this server has become part of cluster. The reason being, we have not started the other server. So when we start the other server, that also becomes a part of the same cluster. Let's see anywhere else. Then this is for default. Yeah, so this line, if you see, so now when it is starting, okay, so this is for your coherence cluster. Let's go for other one. Yeah, this is also your coherence cluster. Okay, so here, so this is where before actually is your servers start listening on your IP and port combination, your cluster should listen before it covers your IP and port. So this is the line where it says start asyncing replication service with remote cluster address, dynamic listener service initialize, and then this makes it so wherever it registers, so there was a place where it registers. Yeah, this is the line. So when it registers, when cluster registers itself on this particular managed server, so that means this managed server has become part of cluster. Now if we'll start the other one also, that also should be visible as a part of same cluster. Right now it says it's singleton. Let's start this one as well and we should be able to see. Okay, so we are starting managed server 2. Let's go to its logs. Okay, so the managed server which you have created, how long it takes to come up? Have you guys noticed it? Anything like it takes 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, anything? So it's logging in services. Okay, so meanwhile, the time it is starting, what we'll do is we'll try to create a network channel for first managed servers. So I'll go to this managed server. I will click on protocols, and then there is a tab, there is a general tab, there is a HTTP, JCOM, IIOP and channels. So this is where I create my network channel. So right now if I see, there is nothing. I have not created any network channel. Okay, so this one is in server mode again, but it has also become the part of the cluster. Okay, so my cluster is being created. Server should be running now. Let's see. Okay, so both of the servers are running in my cluster, and my cluster is in Unicast mode right now. Now if so let's go to the next step where I was trying to show you creating network channel, and then we'll start it again. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating a network channel for my servers. And remember this, whenever we create a network channel, it should have an IP and port, and that should be different. So if I say, let's say CH1, I'm creating my first channel, and I can decide what kind of protocol I want. So I'll keep it to, let's say, T3. I'll go for next, and here I have to specify IP and port combination, and it should be unique across. So in case I'm specifying my own, let's say this 192.168.0.103, in that case I cannot keep the IP same because my managed server has already taken this IP. So I will have to give a unique IP. So I'm assigning it this IP, and port I've changed it to 7003, so there shouldn't be any conflict, and I'll keep it to default. Let's see one thing before I move ahead, so that in case I'm just keeping it same. So this matches with my managed server, and I'm trying to create it. So chase network channel created successfully. Let me activate it. Okay, so now while trying to activate, I got an exception which says server port conflict was detected in server FMW MS1 configuration. So my this server, the first server where I was trying to create a network channel, there is a conflict. The reason being, my default channel is already listening on this, and I'm trying to create another network channel with the same IP port combination, which should not be allowed. So I'll have to undo this change. That's why it should be unique. So I have to keep my IP and ports unique across my server. I'll go to protocols again, create an channel, and this time I'll specify IP and port unique so that it doesn't conflict. So I'll name it same, CH1. Protocol I'm keeping it same. I can also choose HTTP. I can see cluster broadcast. So for cluster, if I'm choosing, I have to make sure that it is cluster broadcast, because I'm creating this channel for cluster. And then I'll specify the same IP, but I will change my port here.
And what is the use of creating new network channel, Devendra?
Can you repeat your question, Rakesh?
What is the use of creating new network channel?
So like I said, when you create a network channel, so that means you are creating a different IP port combination. So here I am giving you this listen address. Okay. You can also create something else. For example, 10.10.20.33. So what happens is when you create a network channel, your servers will actually start listening on a new address. So your actual address, which is let's say 192, okay, that will be hidden. Now, to client user, your actual managed server address will never be exposed. So you, in a way, you are encapsulating your actual managed server's address. So sometimes what happens, people try to hack your system. They get your machine address and IP address port. So if you do this, your managed server is actually running on port A, but you have made it to run on some logical port. So this is network channel. You have created another channel. So there is a default channel where it is running. This way you can create another channel, so it runs on top of this, and then you can also use your virtual host, which is like you assign it another IP port combination, and that way you make your network secure. So your managed server's IP or admin server IP and port will never be visible to the client. It will always to visible to a virtual host, which just exists logically. So that means you are not exposing your managed server's address directly to the client. So that's the network security you put in place.
Okay, okay, understand.
So
Okay,
maybe
understood.
you
Yeah.
encapsulate. So like this is my physical address, okay, and my port, this managed server is running on 71003. But then I am creating another port, an IP and port combination. So let's say tomorrow if someone tries to connect to this, they cannot. The reason being my actual server is running on some other IP and port combination. You getting my point?
Okay, yeah.
So I'm hiding my actual addresses, my actual IP port combination addresses for managed servers. So I'll show you that. I'm just creating this network channels for now. Did I
Okay.
change the port? Let me see. Yeah, I changed the port. Okay, so this is being created. So I have made cluster broadcast. I have assigned it IP and port, and then I'll do activate changes. So this time it should be successful. Okay, it is. So now I will have to, let me see, my both of my servers are running, I think. Let me shut it down, both of them, one of them. I'll change it for MS1 and start MS1. Someone is on headphone. I can hear your breathing.
Okay, okay. I'm muting. Okay.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Okay, so I started the server. Let's go and check that again. Okay, and let me check for this. So this time I am expecting that cluster broadcast address should be appearing here. You can also see here this line, which only comes when we do a clustering. Okay, I am not able to scroll further. Okay, so this line right here, which you can see, so masters member set, right? So if you see here, members ID service join. So this gives you an idea how, so when it joins a cluster you get, okay, so it's going in. I'll open the file and show you. Let it go further. So my server has started. So it was quite fast. Let me just come out of it and I'll show you. Okay, so this is about cluster address where it says lost to Unicast addressing mechanism, and let me check for the default channel where it is creating. So right now, because I have created network channel for one of them and another one is not being there. Yeah, so you see this. I have created a cluster broadcast. So now my CH1, so this is my default channel. So one which I see here is my default channel, which it says 7103, and then this is another channel which I created for cluster broadcast and I named it CH1. So now CH1 is listening on this particular port. Now what is the advantage? If I create a network channel, let me try creating first for another one as well, and I will try to create on a different one, but not sure, although on my machine it will take address as 10 or not. Let's see, let's start it and see. So I'll change it to another address and then start my machine. So let's say I do ch-2, change it to cluster broadcast, and let me name it something like 10.10.20.2221. So in case this IP can listen on my port, then it will open it, otherwise it will send an exception. And I can keep this IP as same also, or I can change it because my IP is different, so I can keep my port same. So I'm finishing it and let's see. Okay, so that change has gone. Let me start. I change it for, okay, I change it for MS2. Good. So let me shut it down. Okay, once it is shut down, I'll start it. Okay, let it start. If there is an exception, we will see that. Meanwhile, let me come to this. Okay, so here I have something called virtual host and virtual targets. So if I have to create a virtual host, I'll show you this in the meantime. Let's say I want to create a virtual host. I'll name it VH1. So this is the virtual host I've created. Now let's see this. Okay, before that let me activate changes. Okay, so now I'm into my virtual host and now I have to select targets. So I can choose targets here. Let me select the virtual targets also. If I'll go to here, lock and edit, new, and VT1. So that's virtual target I'm creating, and let's say I'm creating this virtual target for my right now cluster. Okay, I think I'll show this to you later because server is already starting and it is in cluster mode. So let that start and then we'll see it. Here's the server started. Yeah, so it's running, and let's see, it should be running on a different port, so let me open it instead. This is some error for, okay, so you see this. So because I have used some other port, something like 10.10.10.10, so this IP, because my server cannot listen on that particular IP, so mainly it cannot open it for this port. Considering network, it is a DHCP network, and I cannot do that. But on an actual system, it will not have such constraints, and even if it has Linux administrator, they can open it. So in my case, it is having problem with this IP, so that is not opening. Same case happened when I was trying to do it for multicast. That particular IP cannot listen on my server, and this IP also cannot listen on my server, so it has failed. So I can change it and specify something as 192, and then it should be listening because that IP is configured to listen on my port. Okay, release configuration, go to server, ms2, protocols, and channel. Okay, I think I'll have to remove this. So go to servers, go to this, protocols, and network channel. Okay, so this is being removed. Okay, so this is today what we have seen is vertical clustering. So we have clustered two of our managed servers on our environment, and also we have seen how to create network channels if we want for our for a cluster to put our servers on the cluster. So you can create a network channels based on your requirements. So you can create a network channel, and you can choose the protocol as admin, IIOP, SNMP, LDPS. This is if you're going for secure, T3, secure, LDAP, cluster. For cluster, we'll be using cluster broadcast. If you are choosing, just if you are creating a channel for T3, you can use T3 or HTTP. So depending upon your usage, this is how you can create a channel. And whenever you create a channel, you have to remember this, your IP and port combination should be unique. If not, there will be a port conflict and then network channel will not be created. So we have learned about network channel, we have learned about vertical clustering. I also wanted to show you horizontal clustering today, but unfortunately the other server IP is coming as same as this one, so it cannot be done. So I'll do that, and probably we'll see this vertical clustering tomorrow, and also the proxy, web server proxy. So we'll do OHS installation tomorrow, and then see it how the clustering deployment is visible. Okay, am I audible to you guys? I think I lost connection.